Our freezer stash is almost empty and the kohlrabi in our garden is ready to harvest, so let's make some Nem Rán. But first, let's grab the kohlrabi. This is an iconic dish that is known by many names. In the north, it is called Nem Rán. In the central region, it's called chả giam, and in the south, it's called chả giò. In English-speaking countries, it can be called spring rolls, fried spring rolls, or egg rolls. There seems to be perpetual debates about what this dish should be called in English. To me, it will always be Nem Rán because my family comes from the north of Vietnam. But more than just a difference in names, there are so many versions and variations between regions, localities, and families that it is more of a concept or method than just a dish. Northern versions are made with rice paper and usually includes kohlrabi. Southern versions can be made with flour wrapper and can include taro. Coastal regions usually add shrimp and crab, and versions from across the Vietnamese diaspora include even more variations depending on their history and location. My family's northern recipe includes pork, kohlrabi, carrots, bean sprouts, eggs, wood ear mushroom, shiitake mushroom, shallot, and miến noodles. This classic Hanoi version is such a comfort food for me, living an ocean away from home. It brings back so many memories of making nem in the kitchen with my mom and my grandma, 3 generations cooking together. Making Nem Rán is always an event because they take a lot of preparation. We eat them for family get-togethers, special occasion, and always on Tất Niên, which is the family dinner on the eve of Tết, Vietnamese Lunar New Year. Before leaving for university back in 2012, I asked my mom for the recipe and was given the quantities for 100 rolls. My family always makes them in large quantity and always as a family. Living in the dorms, I only had access to a tiny kitchenette the size of a walk-in closet. I think I must have spent 5 hours making 80-some rolls for my friends, and of course they were devoured within minutes. Even if you're not cooking for a party, it's definitely worth it to make Nem Rán in a large batch because even though they take time to prepare, they freeze really well. You can either freeze them raw right after rolling, or my preferred method is to fry them briefly and then freeze. This really cuts down on the refrying or air frying time whenever you want some. Let's get started. First, we start with the noodles. Whereas cooked bún noodles are used for gỏi cuốn, Vietnamese salad rolls, miến noodles are used for Nem Rán. Miến noodles can be made from arrowroot or mung bean starch. I prefer the arrowroot version for soup or stir-fry dishes and the mung bean version for Nem Rán because they're thinner. We will soak these noodles in room temperature water to rehydrate them. Some people use boiling water, but I don't because that will cook the noodles and cause them to be mushy once you fry the rolls. You want to add enough water to cover the noodles. Now we'll set them aside while we prep the rest of the ingredients. Now we rehydrate the wood ear and shiitake mushrooms. Add this to a bowl and pour in boiling water. We'll set this aside as well. Now we peel and julienne the kohlrabi and carrots. You can julienne the kohlrabi and carrots the old-fashioned way with a knife, or save yourself some time by using a julienne grater. Now we'll do the same with the carrots. Now let's peel and slice the shallots. The mushrooms have fully rehydrated. I have strained and rinsed them, and now we will finely chop them.
For wood ear mushrooms, I like to cut them into halves or quarters depending on the size. Then I stack them up and cut into ribbons. Finally, I turn the bundle of ribbons 90 degrees and chop them into roughly even pieces. For shiitake mushrooms, we'll do something similar. First, cut them into thin slices. Then turn and chop.
The noodles have rehydrated and been strained, so now we'll cut them into lengths about 3 centimeters. Now it's time to mix together the filling. We always have to break out this big pot because we don't have any bowls that can fit everything. Pork, kohlrabi, carrots, bean sprouts, mung bean noodles, wood ear and shiitake mushrooms, shallot, 2 eggs, bouillon powder, and fish sauce. Now we'll mix everything.
It's best to mix by hand to ensure the filling is even. You can use a squeezing motion to break up the minced pork. Try to be somewhat gentle to avoid crushing the bean sprouts too much. Once your filling is looking evenly mixed like this, you are good to go.
And now we're ready to roll. If you don't have a rice paper dipper, fill a large bowl with room temperature water. It should be big enough to fit your rice paper sheets. To roll, you'll want relatively flat surfaces like cutting boards or plates. If you've never worked with rice paper before, grease splash screens like this one are really helpful because the rice paper won't stick to them as much as they would on plates. To make things more efficient, I like having 2 rolling surfaces so that you can let one piece of rice paper soften while you roll the other one. To start, we'll take a piece of rice paper and dip that in water. Shake off the excess water. Place it on the plate and let that soften for a little bit. Right before I'm ready to roll this one, I will do the same with another piece of rice paper. To roll, you want to take about 3 tablespoons of filling. Place that towards the bottom third of the rice paper. I like to pull any loose pieces on the side and put that on top. Shape it into a log. Now we'll fold in both sides. If you press down, it will stick. You want to make sure that the sides are perpendicular. Now we'll gather the bottom, pull it over the log, and then roll while tucking tightly. Try to make sure that the sides aren't bulging out. And there you have it. Dip another sheet, place it on this plate, and switch over our other plate with the piece of rice paper that's already soft. And we'll roll the next one, and you just keep going until you run out of filling.
Here's the view from the top. Again, place your filling in the bottom third of the rice paper and shape it into a log, leaving about 5 centimeters of space on each side. Now we'll fold in both sides, pressing down so the rice paper will stick to itself. And you'll want to ensure that the two sides are parallel. Fold the bottom flap up and over your filling, then roll upwards tightly towards the end of the sheet. Try to not leave any space between your filling and the rice paper.
Now let's fry them.
Add enough vegetable oil to a large pan so that you have a layer about 2 centimeters deep and heat on medium. Test whether your oil is ready by dipping a chopstick or wooden handle of a spatula into the oil. If you see rapid bubbles, it's ready. The oil should be about 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Add the rolls, leaving some space in between them so that they do not stick together. Fry on medium heat, rotating every few minutes until all sides are golden. Remove from oil and place on a plate lined with paper towel or an oil rack to remove extra oil.
These delicious rolls can be eaten by themselves or with moon noodles to make moon nem, but either way, you need a good dipping sauce. You can buy some pre-made nước mắm chấm or follow our recipe. We'll put a link in the description and add the ingredients here.
I can't count the number of times I have made these Nem Rán, and they never disappoint. Now it's your turn to try them, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more Vietnamese and French recipes.